The emergency room's fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as Dr. Sarah Martinez examined the angry red burns across my arms and chest. Her face remained professional, but I saw the slight tightening around her eyes as she documented each injury. "Ms. Thompson, these are third-degree burns," she said quietly. "You said this happened in your kitchen." I could feel my parents hovering anxiously behind the curtain. "Yes," I whispered. "My sister-in-law was cooking." "Cooking?" Dr. Martinez's eyebrow arched as she gently turned my arm. "These splash patterns suggest the pan was thrown deliberately, multiple times." I closed my eyes, remembering Kate's face contorted with rage as she hurled a pan of boiling oil at me. My own brother's wife, someone I trusted, someone my parents had always favored over me because she was such a perfect addition to the family. "Megan, sweetie," my mother's voice carried through the curtain. "Remember what we discussed in the car? Kate's going through a difficult time with the divorce." She didn't mean it. Dr. Martinez's hand still on my arm. "Your parents were present during the incident." Before I could answer, my father pushed through the curtain. "Now, let's not blow this out of proportion. Kate's been staying with us since Thomas left her. She's emotionally fragile." "Mr. Thompson," Dr. Martinez cut him off sharply. "I need to examine my patient privately." "We're her parents. And this is my ER. Please wait outside." After they left, Dr. Martinez pulled up a chair. "Tell me what really happened." The tears I'd been holding back finally spilled. "Kate moved in with us 3 months ago after my brother finally left her. He couldn't take her violent outbursts anymore, but my parents, they still think she's perfect." I explained how Kate had systematically taken over my home, the house I'd bought with my own money for my job as a software engineer. How she'd convinced my parents I owed her this because family sticks together. "Today, I tried to set boundaries," I continued, wincing as the doctor cleaned a particularly bad burn. "I told her she needed to find her own place. She was in the kitchen, making dinner like she always does, acting like she owns my house. When I mentioned apartment hunting, she just snapped." "And your parents?" "They were sitting at the kitchen island. They saw everything." Kate screamed that I was just like Thomas, that I was betraying family. She grabbed the pan of oil and I shuddered. My parents just sat there. Even when I was screaming, they just watched. Mom kept saying, "Now, Kate, calm down," like she was talking to an upset child. Dr. Martinez's jaw clenched as she photographed the burns. "This isn't the first incident, is it?" I shook my head. "Last week, she pushed me into a wall when I asked her to stop using my master bathroom. Before that, she threw my laptop across the room because I had a video call during her TV time. My parents said I was being insensitive to her emotional state." "Ms. Thompson, as your doctor, I'm concerned about your safety. These burns will leave permanent scars, but I'm more worried about what might happen if you return home." A knock interrupted us, and a police officer stepped in. Dr. Martinez had already called them. "No, please," I protested weakly. "My parents will never forgive me if I press charges." "Your parents watched someone assault you with boiling oil," Dr. Martinez said firmly. "They lost their right to an opinion when they chose to enable abuse." The officer, Detective Lisa Wong, took out her notebook. "We've already reviewed the ER's initial report. Dr. Martinez documented clear signs of previous injuries beyond today's burns. Ms. Thompson, there's bruising on your back from last week's wall incident, isn't there?" I nodded slowly. "Megan and Tom Payson." My mother's voice rang through the ER. "Are you talking to the police? How could you do this to Kate?" Detective Wong stepped out to intercept my parents while Dr. Martinez continued treating my burns. Through the curtain, I could hear the argument. "She's family," my father insisted. "She's violent," Detective Wong countered. "And you witnessed an assault without intervening. That makes you accessories." My phone buzzed with a text from Kate. "If you press charges, you'll regret it. Your parents will never speak to you again." I shoved the message to Dr. Martinez, who immediately handed it to Detective Wong. "Ms. Thompson," the detective said, returning to my bedside, "we're taking this very seriously. The text message is a threat. The assault had witnesses, and Dr. Martinez's documentation shows a pattern of abuse. We're arresting Kate tonight. But where will she go?" I asked, hating how I still worried about her despite everything. "That's not your concern anymore," Dr. Martinez said gently. "Right now, we need to focus on your recovery and safety. I'm admitting you overnight for observation, and tomorrow we'll discuss options for when you're discharged." Through the curtain, I could hear Kate's arrival, presumably called by my parents. Her familiar voice rose in fake concern. Where's my precious sister-in-law? I need to apologize. Detective Wong nodded to two officers, who moved to intercept her. As they led Kate away in handcuffs, her concerned mask cracked. "You ungrateful bitch," she screamed, "after everything your family did for you." Dr. Martinez squeezed my hand as I trembled. "That's exactly the point, Ms. Thompson. Family doesn't do this. And it's time someone finally stood up and said so." For the first time since Kate moved in, I felt like I could breathe. The burns hurt terribly, but something else was starting to heal, my sense of self-worth. The hospital room became my sanctuary for the next 3 days. Dr. Martinez ensured no visitors were allowed except those I explicitly approved. My brother Thomas arrived on the second day, his face ashen when he saw my bandaged arms. "I should have warned you," he said, sinking into the chair beside my bed. "When Kate started getting violent with me, I just left. I never thought she'd move in with you." And he gestured helplessly at my injuries. "Why didn't you tell anyone about the violence?" I asked. He laughed bitterly. "I tried. Mom said I was exaggerating. Dad told me to man up and handle my marital problems privately. When I finally filed for divorce, they acted like I was the monster." A soft knock interrupted us. Detective Wong entered, carrying a thick file. "Ms. Thompson, we've compiled quite a case. Your neighbors provided security footage showing multiple incidents of Kate's aggressive behavior. The footage from last week's wall incident is particularly clear. Our parents will never accept this," Thomas said. "They'll have to," Detective Wong replied. "They're being charged as accessories. Their presence during the assault and subsequent attempts to prevent medical care and police involvement make them legally culpable." I closed my eyes, remembering how they tried to convince me to treat the burns at home, how they begged me not to embarrass the family by going to the hospital. "There's more," Detective Wong continued. "We searched Kate's room in your house. We found your missing jewelry, documents showing she tried to access your bank accounts, and a diary detailing her plans to force you out of your own home." Thomas went pale. "That's what she did to me. She gradually took over everything until I felt like a stranger in my own house. When I finally stood up to her, she turned violent," I finished. Dr. Martinez came in for her rounds, checking my burns. "The healing process will take time," she said, "but I'm more concerned about your support system after discharge. You shouldn't return to that house alone." "She can stay with me," Thomas offered. "I have a secure apartment building with cameras and a doorman." A social worker named Maya joined us, carrying a stack of papers. "We've already filed for an emergency protective order against Kate and your parents. We also have resources for trauma counseling and support groups for survivors of family violence." As they discussed logistics, my phone kept lighting up with messages from family, friends, and relatives. Word had spread. "Can't believe you're doing this to your own family. Kate needs help, not handcuffs. Your poor parents are devastated." Thomas took my phone and turned it off. "They did the same thing to me during my divorce. It gets better once you break free from their manipulation." That evening, Dr. Martinez sat with me during her break. "Your brother's right. I've seen many cases where family abuse is normalized and victims are pressured to stay quiet. Breaking that cycle takes immense courage. I keep thinking about all the signs I ignored," I admitted. "How Kate slowly took over my house, how my parents always took her side, how they watched her become more aggressive and did nothing." "That's common in abuse situations," Maya added, joining us. "The escalation is gradual, and enablers help make it seem normal. But there's something you should know. Your case has already helped others. 2 other patients in similar situations have come forward after hearing about you." Detective Wong returned with updates. Kate had been denied bail due to the threat assessment and evidence of premeditation. My parents were released on bail but ordered to have no contact with me. "Your mother tried to claim they were protecting you by keeping you from reporting," Detective Wong said. "The judge wasn't impressed, especially after seeing the photos of your burns and the security footage." As night fell, I stood at the hospital window, looking at my bandaged reflection. Tomorrow, I would leave with Thomas, start therapy, and begin rebuilding my life. My house would be treated as a crime scene for now, which felt strangely appropriate. It had become one long before Kate threw that pan. "Ready for tomorrow?" Thomas asked, returning with dinner. "No," I admitted. "But I'm ready to stop pretending everything's okay when it's not. I'm ready to stop letting them call abuse family loyalty." Dr. Martinez made one final check before ending her shift. "Remember, healing isn't just about the burns. It's about reclaiming your sense of safety and self-worth. And from what I've seen, you're stronger than you know." That night, in the quiet hospital room, I started writing everything down. Not for the police or the courts, but for myself. Every incident, every manipulation, every moment I'd been told to stay quiet for family peace. It was time to speak my truth, no matter who didn't want to hear it. 6 months after the attack, I sat in the courtroom, watching Kate's mask of innocence finally crack as the evidence mounted against her. The security footage played on multiple screens, showing incident after incident. My parents sat on her side of the courtroom, their faces tight with disapproval as they avoided my gaze. Dr. Martinez testified about my injuries, her professional demeanor unwavering as she showed the court detailed photographs of my burns. These weren't accidental splash marks, she explained. The pattern clearly shows multiple deliberate throws of hot oil. The victim could have died if the oil had hit her face or throat. Kate's attorney tried to paint her as a troubled woman going through an emotional crisis, but the prosecution had too much evidence. My brother's testimony about his own experience with her violence. The diary entries detailing her plans, the neighbor's footage, the threatening texts. Your Honor, the prosecutor addressed the judge, this wasn't a single incident of loss of control. This was a calculated campaign of escalating violence, enabled and facilitated by the defendant's in-laws. When the verdict came, Kate's composure finally shattered. 7 years for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, plus additional charges for harassment and attempted financial fraud. My parents received suspended sentences and mandatory counseling for their role as accessories. This isn't fair, Kate screamed as they led her away. I was family. Tell them, Megan. Tell them you're destroying this family. I stood up, my voice steady. Family doesn't try to destroy each other. You did that all on your own. Outside the courthouse, Thomas hugged me carefully, mindful of my still healing scars. It's really over. Dr. Martinez, who had become a friend and mentor through this process, approached with Detective Wong. How are you feeling? The doctor asked. Like I can finally breathe, I replied. The support group you recommended helped me understand that staying quiet doesn't protect family. It only protects abuse. Detective Wong nodded. Your case has made a difference. We've implemented new protocols for handling family violence cases, especially where enablers are involved. 3 more victims have come forward this month alone. My parents tried to approach, but Thomas stepped between us. They'd spent the entire trial trying to minimize Kate's actions, suggesting I provoked her, claiming family matters should be handled privately. Mom, Dad, I said, not moving closer, until you understand that loyalty shouldn't require silence in the face of abuse, we have nothing to discuss. That evening, I hosted a dinner at my newly renovated house. The kitchen where the attack happened had been completely remodeled, turned from a place of trauma into a space of healing. Around my table sat the people who had supported me: Thomas, Dr. Martinez, Detective Wong, Maya the social worker, and several members of my support group. I'd like to make an announcement, I said, standing. The Victim Compensation Fund helped me start a nonprofit. We'll provide resources and support for people facing family violence, especially when other family members enable the abuse. That's wonderful, Maya smiled. What made you decide to take this step? Something Dr. Martinez said in the hospital. Healing isn't just about the burns. I realized that breaking the cycle means helping others find their voice too. Thomas raised his glass. To new beginnings. Later, after everyone left, I stood in my kitchen, running my fingers over the smooth new countertops. My scars had faded to silver lines, still visible but no longer angry red. Like my scars, the experience had changed me, not broken me. My phone buzzed with a message from a cousin. Your parents miss you. Can you just forgive and forget? I replied with a link to my nonprofit's website, which featured my story alongside others who had broken free from family abuse. Then I blocked the number. The next morning, I walked into the hospital where Dr. Martinez worked. The burn unit had invited me to speak to their staff about recognizing signs of family violence. As I shared my story, I saw understanding dawn in their eyes. Sometimes, I concluded, the bravest thing isn't enduring abuse to keep family peace. It's standing up and saying this isn't what family means. Dr. Martinez hugged me after the presentation. You've turned your pain into purpose, she said proudly. Looking at the medical staff taking notes, at the resource packets from my nonprofit being passed around, I felt strength in my healed skin. Kate and my parents had tried to silence me, but they'd only given me a louder voice. My phone lit up with a message from Thomas. Dad showed up at my place, talking about reconciliation. I replied, they can reconcile with our boundaries or not at all. Standing in the hospital where my healing began, I felt at peace. Sometimes family isn't who you're born to or who you marry into. It's who stands with you when you speak your truth, who helps you heal when others try to break you, who shows you that love should never require silence in the face of harm.